our next guest, a long-time stalwart in the industry, and again, delighted to have him here. Rob Murkisson, principal and partner of Intelligent Buildings. Rob, come on in, take a load off. Join us. Dun, dun. Good, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you're here, pal. So again, you've been part of IBcon and Realcomm for basically almost since its beginning, I believe.
The first year.
Oh, the first year. So this year, brand new. Give me your perspective on IBcon, and then I want to talk a little bit about, or Kenny and I want to talk a little bit about some of y'all's perspective now within the industry, trends and things like that.
Sure. Well, I think the conference has always been about the intersection of technology and real estate. And when it first started, it was more about the intersection of back office technologies and real estate. And with the introduction of IBcon, when was it, 7, 8 years ago?
I think it was about 8 years ago.
8 years ago, the conversation turned to technology in the buildings and how that was intersecting with real estate. What I've seen over the past few years, and it's really highlighted now, is it is all about the data, and I think you're hearing that message. You're hearing that message from a lot of folks. But now that the realization is that it's about data, there's a couple themes that I'm seeing. First of all, and I think I've heard you talk to several other guests about this. When you talk about data, there's devices that have to produce that data in buildings, and looking at that data in a way that is an asset for the organization, it becomes a conversation of how do I protect that data, just like you protect personal information data. And I think that the cyber conversation around data is something that is extremely important to the organization, and I see a shift happening where it used to be if we're going to have a data-centric conversation, we talk about the data. Now I think we're seeing a conversation talking about cyber first before we get to the data, because there's no way to get to the data without addressing the cyber component. The second aspect of the cyber is the people that are around that data, and asking the questions of what are you going to do with the data, and how are you going to have awareness and education alignment around what the people are going to do with the data. So I see those as two big trends now that we've crossed into the world of data-centric, and there's a lot of realization around that. We're seeing a lot of converged backbones and wireless technologies and normalization and standards and so forth. That a lot of the pieces are in place, but if you don't address the cyber first, you're never going to get the data out of the building. And if you don't address how the people are going to use it and align the organization, it's not going to scale.
So I've been participating at Realcomm IBcon for years, and one of the critical things that happens here is your Intelligent Boot Camp.
Yes.
So you've been conducting that for years here. Tell our viewers, one, what it is, and then number two is, how have you guys changed over the years when you're delivering this Intelligent Boot Camp?
Sure. It's a great question. So the boot camp is, the name says a lot. It's for individuals or organizations inside individuals that are looking to get a beginner look at how to go down the path of intelligent buildings. And what we do is we go over the principles that we have developed over the past 14 years that make sense, such as you need open systems in the buildings. They need to be converged onto a network, and that you need to, in order to do machine-to-machine communications, you need to normalize that data. We goes in that techie talk. Sure. We also talk about the idea that it's a cross between buildings and information technology, and we call that OT and IT, and that crossover is very important. But as you heard me say earlier, if you don't address the people component, we say the equation of intelligent buildings or a smart building is OT, which is the building system, times people, which is the alignment piece, times IT. And if any one of those is zero or close to zero, the resulting value that you get is close to zero. So we talk about the alignment between buildings, people, and technology, in addition to having open systems and convergence around that and the normalization. Now, What we then do is we have some different vendors and manufacturers who are innovating in the fastest areas of these spaces. We have them come and talk to the group and talk to them about what they're doing. Then in addition, and I think this is really important, this is sort of fun, we have folks that came to the boot camp 5 years ago. And they've gone down the journey. They are coming back as veterans and talking about their experience when they first started and where they're headed now. And I think that's really eye-opening to the audience because they're getting a first-hand perspective. I mean, this is about a forum and a conversation around learning. And the boot camp is a way for folks that are just starting a journey or is somewhere in the journey and they want to share ideas or get a refresher, they can come there and do that. And we do that at the pre-conference every year before the main RealCom event.
Do you, just one quick, and I'm going to give it to you, Kenny. When I've attended them, they've been wonderful. And again, quick question, sort of a kind of a humorous, is there a test that one has to take? And where can I get those answers?
Oh gosh, no. There isn't a test, although I think that would be a great idea. You leave with an intelligent building certificate, certification of some sort. But there is no test. It is a conversation. But we do say that there are 9 words that if we're doing a good job, participants should leave with. And those words, and I've said 6 of those, are open systems, securely converged networks, and a normalization, which means being able to look at the data in the building, machine-machine communications. The second 3 are you have to be able to look at the 3 pillars, which are buildings, people, and information technology. And you should go about an approach that starts with visibility first. Then move to control. So you want to get visibility in your building systems, then move to control, and then after you go visibility control, put the business policies around that. So open, converge, normalize, buildings, people, technology, and visibility and control and policy. So if there is a test, the test is, do you know those 9 words at the end of the Intelligent Buildings Bootcamp?
That's great. Kenny?
Well, that's part of the magic of listening to Intelligent Buildings, the team they have, because I think one of the first times I came through your booth, and by the way, congratulations on a very successful booth, the location, the traffic. It was hard to get a hold of you guys because you were so busy. And congratulations to Sean and to Fred Gordy, because I think just by hearing how engaged you guys were, you're doing an educational benefit.
Don't forget Tom, because he'll get angry if we don't mention him.
I was coming to Tom Shortcliffe because he was. We watched you two on the RealCom Live, by the way, too, and it was a great session there. So what I wanted to get at is I actually had to write notes because I had a chance to listen to some of this thing, and that is that you're doing a profound benefit to the industry, and you're showing your leadership. You're one of the few companies that has the one-stop shop type of thing. So as we continue to talk about master systems integrators, we have to talk about consultants and firms that can actually provide A to Z consultancy for anywhere from a city to a global portfolio. So I think that's some of the trying stuff. I think one of the most important things that you all did was the differentiation with Fred Gordy, for instance. He taught a lot of us the difference between IT and OT. IT's bad. If you compromise IT, screw up everybody's records, and it's really bad, you get sued. And there was one cool thing that came out of that, and they said, if the hackers don't get you, the lawyers will, because of it. Right. So you guys do a very good job of explaining the liability now associated at every level. So I mean, if you're selling stuff that you put your stuff on somebody's network, you now can become culpable to, if that gets hacked, you have a responsibility. So it's a shared responsibility. I think also the dialogue across the organization. I don't think people understand, again, how challenging it is to get commitment from an organization. So some of the things you introduced was the starter kits. You start out really basic. But one of the most important things you said, like the 9 words, is you need commitment across the organization. So you convert all their disparate opinions and all their disparate desires and create a common dialogue that everyone understands and commits to. And I think that's the key to your success. Absolutely. Yeah,
and I'm going to give you a free marketing idea for you, my friend. So based on those 9 words, I think next year when you do the boot camp again, you decide whatever order that you bring that in the boot camp, you have those 4 or 5 words on the front of a t-shirt and then the other words on the back, and have the audience wear them and then turn them as you address those 9 key words. So there's your free marketing concept. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's kind of just turn, if you don't mind, to industry trends. Okay, you guys are, You always look at the trends at the forefront. What do you see really, going into 2018? What do you think is the most important trend that, whether you're a system integrator or you're a building owner or an operator or you're a technology provider, is there one or two common trends that this entire universe, the collaborative community we have, should be aware of or be looking at?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, we have another half a year in 2017, right? Okay.
Thank you.
So I think the biggest trend, and there are a couple of things that I will say precipitate from that, is the availability of low-cost sensoring. Sensoring is in a lot of ways, I haven't read this somewhere, and your guest earlier probably has done the research on it, but it follows Moore's Law, and that the Moore's Law was every 18-month technology. I think they change it every 2 years now or something like that. But every 18 months, technology halves in price and it doubles in speed, and that's what's happening with sensoring. That's the cost of the sensoring is coming down, and the ability to take things like looking at occupancy and air quality and humidity and sound and now even CO2, all that sensoring, and getting that combined, and it's providing data that organizations now can put in at a relatively low cost and low risk,
Right, absolutely.
and not have to have identified what all the practical applications of that are going to be. So sensoring, I think, is something that is changing right now because the cost point is coming down so dramatically.
Well, just real quickly on that, do you also think the world of IoT is helping drive that importance of the sensors?
Oh, absolutely. And sensoring, I think, is a subset of IoT. But the idea that you can go and censor for a few dollars, I mean, literally a few dollars, tens of dollars, you can put the sensoring in there, is creating a data-rich environment in a building. And this is really, to me, especially from an integrator community perspective, is to understand that maybe what is needed in some cases in order to get a smart building program going, considering that people are extremely important part of that equation. That equation I talked about earlier of buildings, people times technology, you can't have zero, is that use sensoring to get data flowing out of a building before you attempt an integration effort. And if you can do that, you can build business cases so that the organization can see the benefit of getting one of those 9 words I talked about, visibility first. You may not have control, but at least get the visibility first so that the organization can now take action, because if you're around the floor of Realcomm, and many of your viewers may not have heard this, obviously, there is a big theme here, is that there's lots of really cool technologies, but you got to take action.
Absolutely.
And if you don't take action, you don't get results. And by doing sensoring, you can get visibility into what's going on in the building. You may not have to have the control capabilities, but that visibility is something that's extremely important. And it also allows you to test the cybersecurity aspect of things, because if you have devices that are producing data without an integration effort initially, you can at least test the cyber piece, and you have data flowing so you can learn how to take actions, and then figure out where you're going to focus on the investments on the integration side of a smart building.
Well, to the testament there, Rob, 2 things. One is, I remember last year, you guys, your big takeaway was water, how water was being introduced now into the big picture, as a very important utility. It was becoming scarcer, and yet had more stringent requirements and greater responsibility. So I remember that being one of the takeaways last year. And I really believe what you're saying about the sensor being down to the point where it's something that you need to take advantage of. But another thing I saw introduced with sensors now, it's just an automatic that these things now on people are sensors.
Yeah,
and so every time I took a look around, I was seeing not only was it the physical sensor that may or may not be located where it was traditionally on the wall, it might be up in the lights now, but the inclusion of the human smart sensor, and for not just, are you happy with your input, or you need cooling or heating, and you can respond with a smart integration there, but also zoning. that the exact location, in many cases in our buildings, we used to rely on occupancies and schedules, and it's not reliable. It was the best of its breed at the time, but now that technology has improved, leaps and bounds forward, so that they're saying that not only do you start cutting back on your chiller, or your supply temperatures are starting to, you can, because everybody leaves early on Friday, so you can take advantage of, start planning at 3:30 is when you want to. Some of those trends, I think, are just literally presenting the information to people, and that call to action is so critical. You're right, because here we are sitting there, we're talking about the technology being there. Eric and I attended a very interesting luncheon where the guy said, we can build your dream, we can sell your dream, and now we need people to work that dream, but you got to move, you got to dream.
Good advice. Anything else? Let's kind of wrap this one up as well, because I don't know about you, but it's cocktail time. And it's been a long day several days for several of us. Just a little bit again for the audience, tell us a little bit about Intelligent Buildings and how to get a hold of you guys, and go from there.
Thank you, Mark. Well, Intelligent Buildings, you've been put in a nutshell. We're a professional services firm that helps simplify the journey of an intelligent building. So we've been in this space for 14 years, and we have seen, I won't say seen it all, but we've seen a lot. And we've seen what works and what doesn't work. And over those 14 years, we've developed a methodology that allows folks to start at different spots, but advance down the same path. So in the nutshell, we don't represent any manufacturers. We don't resell products. We simply are a professional services firm that help people simplify and therefore accelerate their journey, taking the risk out of going into intelligent buildings. You can reach us at intelligentbuildings.com. You can reach me at rob@intelligentbuildings.com. I'm as you can tell, I'm pretty excited and passionate about this.
Absolutely.
I'd give you my cell phone, but my business partner probably wouldn't like that idea. But please reach out, and I would love to continue the conversation.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it, man.